What is the right way to play Pokemon? I remember playing Pokemon Yellow on my Game Boy Color all the way back in 1999. And strangely enough, I would always make sure that my Pikachu could get the final hit in gym battles. I remember spamming tackles into Brox's Onix, thunderbolting Giovanni's Rhydon and wondering why aiming for the horn didn't work, and calling out Pikachu to defeat the Jolteon of my childhood rival. This drive to challenge myself in games has carried on into the newer generations. And when it comes to challenging Pokemon runs, there is one that has always stood out amongst the rest.
And then have the
what did I say, Brayden? What did I say?
The Pokemon Nuzlocke. There are many variations that exist, but the base rules of this challenge boils down to two simple rules. You can only catch the first Pokemon on a route, and if a Pokemon faints, it is considered gone. For good. This challenge run has taken over the internet for well over a decade. Loving a good challenge, I started to try Nuzlockes myself. Some were successful and others not so much. However, when the newest Pokemon games, Scarlet and Violet, announced that they would have Pokemon Home connectivity with Pokemon Legends Arceus, I was instantly inspired for what my next Nuzlocke would be. Instead of doing the classic Nuzlocke rules, I wanted to attempt to beat Pokemon Scarlet only with the new Hisuian forms and evolutions from Pokemon Legends Arceus. That's only 16 fully evolved Pokemon for me to choose from, which is half as many Pokemon that you get in a normal Nuzlocke of Scarlet. This would definitely be one of the toughest Nuzlockes that I've ever attempted, but I was ready to play this game to its highest and best capacity. This is my Hisuian Nuzlocke of Pokemon Scarlet. Let's go over the rules of my Nuzlocke since this isn't the most traditional run. Rule number 1, if a Pokemon faints, it's considered gone and no longer usable. Rule number 2, you can either choose a starter or roll for a random one, and then get an additional Pokemon after each badge. That would mean that you get a new Pokemon after each Gym, Titan, and Team Star victory. To keep this as random as possible, I got a list of every Hisuian Pokemon and put them in the Wheel of Pokemon and get to add whatever Pokemon it landed on to our team. Rule 3. This is a hardcore Nuzlocke. That means no items in battle, no switching when your opponent sends out a new Pokemon, and no Pokemon stronger than the highest level Pokemon on the other team. And, of course, the most important rule, Rule 4. I have to nickname every Pokemon. The run starts after the starter selection because, let's face it, I love my little dingus crocodile boy, but this is not his time. After banishing Fuecoco to the Shadow Realm, I show off all of our future potential Mons for our run. Because some evolutions are only possible in Legends Arceus, I occasionally transfer Pokemon to and from this game to Legends to allow for the right evolution. I decided that I would choose my starter based off the ones in Legends Arceus, Rowlet, Cyndaquil, and Oshawott. Because its flying type hits the first two gyms for super effective damage, I thought that Rowlet would be the best choice. And later on, Hisuian Decidueye becomes a relatively bulky physical attacker with a new grass fighting typing. So, say hello to Geno the Rowlet. Oh, by the way, my nicknaming theme was Mario characters. I just finished showing the Super Mario RPG remake trailer and I was feeling a little hype. I decided that we could pick up 2 more Pokemon before the first gym. So I rolled our first encounter, Bob-omb, the Hisuian Voltorb. Hisuian Voltorb is an electric grass type, as opposed to its pure electric Cantonian cousin. However, while naming him, I realized a devastating limit to all of the Pokemon transferred over from Legends. I think it's Bob-omb. Oh, you can change the name only once? Oh, really? So, yeah, welcome in Bob-omb. We find a strange new Pokemon on the beach and give him the only piece of food that we have on us. The prehistoric Pokemon then goes Super Saiyan and walks into Inlet Grotto more bow-legged than the cowboy who needs to drop a deuce. The Flintstone Dragon then protects us from a Houndoom and then effortlessly jumps up to pull us out of the terrestrial caves. Okay, maybe not effortlessly, but you get the point. I then meet Arvin, who looks like a JoJo character that was featured in a Pantene hair commercial, and kick his squirrel's butt with our Rowlet. After admiring the, I want to say beauty of the landscape, we roll another encounter, Waluigi the Oshawott. As opposed to the Unovan Samurott, Hisuian Samurott is a water dark type with a cool new design. Boy, I can't wait to use this at some point in the run. Why is the foreshadowing thing showing up? We train up our 3 amigos until we're ready to take on Nemona, a rival whose love for battles matches those of shonen protagonists. Although this is one of the first battles in the game, it still can actually be pretty hard because Nemona's a cheater and is able to terrastalize her Palmy. If you don't know what terastalization is, it's the new gimmick announced in this generation that effectively allows a Pokemon to change its type or enhance the attack power of one of its types. So, while Geno was able to take out her Sprigatito with a a few pecks, we then switch into Bob-Omb once her Pawmi hits the field. Although the Pawmi terastallizes into an electric type to increase its Thundershock's power, our quad-resisted Bob was able to take the hit, and we defeat the Pika clone with a few bullet seeds. Nimona heads off for her off-screen training montage, and we run into a girl being bullied by people who choose to wear crash test helmets as a fashion statement. Ironic. And after helping her out, we finally have the ability to terastallize our own Pokemon. We enter our school, Naranja Academy, and meet Director Clavel and the game's Poke Professor, Professor Sada.
I forgot that we got Scarlet, so we have sexy prehistoric mommy.
As you can tell, I was excited. Director Clavel then hypes us up to go find our own treasure. And for me, that would mean playing Pokemon the only way that I found most exciting. Playing Pokemon the right way, one might say. We jump onto the back of our prehistoric peacock and make our way to the first gym, the Cortondo Gym. With only 3 Pokemon, we had 2 less encounters than what we would usually have in a normal Scarlet Nuzlocke run, but I was determined that we wouldn't need another one. And now it was time for our first gym battle against Katie, the Bug-type gym leader. Because Gino was a Flying type, he had same type attack boost, or stab, on the Flying type move, Peck. And while he was able to take out the Nimble easily with 2 pecks, he ended up taking a crit randomly from a Struggle Bug. That's a 1 in 20 chance of happening, so it sucked to take more damage than usual. After finishing off the Nimble, as well as the Tarantula that Katie sends out afterwards, Katie sends out her ace, a Teddy Ursa. While this is normally a normal type, she terastallizes it first turn into a bug type to boost any bug type moves that the little bear has. Normally, she will go for a stab Fury Cutter, which can quickly snowball since it does more damage each time it's used. So, with my Rowlet already low, I decided to bring in Oshawott to hopefully take a hit. However, Waluigi just lost 22 HP, and with the next Fury Cutter increasing in strength, there was no way he would be able to live another one. I noticed, however, that it was raining, meaning that all water-type moves would hit 50% harder. As a Hail Mary, I decided to terastallize Waluigi, giving him an even further boost to his water-type moves, and go for a stab and Terra-boosted Water Gun in the rain, a big brain move on my end to hopefully do some huge damage to the Teddy Ursa. It did not. Waluigi then dies to a second Fury Cutter, leading to our first death of the entire run. I send in Bob-Omb to do a Thunder Shock before he falls to another boosted Fury Cutter. This meant that our run was all on the wings of Gino. I knew our little owl would be able to outspeed its opponent, so I prayed that a Stab Peck would be able to take out this bug-eyed bear. It did not. Gino falls to another hit. And there you have it, folks. You cannot Nuzlocke Pokemon Scarlet with only Hisuian Pokemon. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll get them next time.
Okay, we're gonna retry this chat.
I decided to swallow my pride and do a second run. Because we lost before the first gym, and the fact that nobody wants to watch me do the hit the A button 1,000 times simulator again, I decided that instead of completely starting over, I could choose a new starter and re-roll the 2 random encounters. So, after coming up with a plan, this is my Hisuian Nuzlocke of Pokemon Scarlet. Attempt 2. Seeing how much of a menace Katie's Teddy Ursa was, I decided to take Cyndaquil this time around. The Hisuian Typhlosion is one of the coolest glow-ups compared to the Jotonian one, with a new Fire Ghost typing. Joining him would be Scyther, who received a new evolution outside of Scizor named Cleavor. Instead of a bug steel type like Scizor, Cleavor was actually a bug rock type. However, the only way that Scyther can evolve into Cleavor is with a Black Augrite, an item exclusive to the Legends Arceus, so I decided to wait until a reasonable level to evolve this Pokemon. In addition to Scyther, the wheel landed on Ursaluna, a new normal ground evolution for the Teddy Ursa line that, once again, only evolves from an item that's exclusive to PLA, the Peat Block. However, that would mean that I would have my own Teddy Ursa to take on Katie. On top of having a powerful team this time around, I completely forgot that Cyndaquil evolves into Quilava at level 14 in the mainline games, not 17 like in Arceus. I could have waited off evolving it, but I think after seeing the difficulty of the first time around, it would be okay for this one time. I mean, I'm still beating Pokemon the right way, right? Right? Once our team hit the level cap, I took on Katie the second time. Also, ignore the words off to the side. My friend asked me for a cheesecake recipe, so it's up there for this fight. We lead with Scyther, who's easily able to take out Nimble and Tarantula with a single wing attack. Katie pulls out her terastallized Teddiursa, but I respond with a Flying Terra for my Scyther, easily one-shotting her once terrifying Teddy. With that, we receive our first badge, getting us one step closer to finishing the Victory Row path, and also allowing us to add a fourth Pokemon to our party. We add Hisuian Quillfish, which I was excited about because that would mean some Water-type moves for the upcoming Rock Titan. Except, I forgot that Hisuian Quillfish is a dark poison type and doesn't learn that many water type moves because of this change. But hey, at least we get a new evolution to look forward to. After the first gym, we move on to the first and most aesthetically terrifying Titan, the Stony Cliff Titan. I decide to lead with our new Quillfish and hit him with some bites. I'm able to get a flinch off to stop Mr. Krabs in his tracks, and with a Terra boosted bite, I'm able to defeat the first phase of this fight. The bastardized Sebastian runs away, eats some performance-enhancing drugs, and is ready to fight again. But this time around, Arven uses his Shelder to help be a meat shield from some of these hits. With more bite flinches and water guns from Shelder, we're able to get Cloth to less than 50% of his health, which procs his Anger Shell. Anger Shell makes it so that when Cloth's HP is at the halfway point, he gets a boost in his attack and speed stats, but drops his defense stats. I decided to not play around the crit because I wasn't sure how well my other Pokemon could take a hit from the boosted Crab. I luckily don't get punished and bite one more time with our Quillfish before switching out into Teddiursa. However, Arven's Shelder ends up getting the killing blow with a water gun, which means that we were able to defeat the Stony Cliff Titan and receive our Rock Badge. I decided not to take a new encounter because I honestly have no idea. I think it's because I thought spreading out the limited number of Pokemon would make this somehow more interesting, and instead, I make my way to our next destination, the Artizone Gym, home of the Grass-type leader, Bracius. We take on the Sunflora challenge, finding 10 of the little guys around town, and send them to the 15 FPS farm to wonder what it would be like if they had real graphics. We then were able to take on Bracius, who would definitely be in some sort of physical pain from jumping that high. The battle begins and Bracius sends out his Petalil, which gave our Quillfish a chance to set up some minimizes to increase his evasion. I then use Fellstinger on Petalil and the following Smoliv, a move that increases my attack by 3 stages if it feints the other Pokemon. Then came out Bracius's ace, his Arceus, if you will, the Terra Grass Sudowoodo. Even with the +6 in my attack, my Poison Sting only did less than 50%. However, Quillfish is able to take a Trailblaze, and we take him down with 2 more Poison Stings. We receive the Grass Badge, meet the human form of Isabelle from Animal Crossing, and then name all the Pokemon that I've received up until this point because I forgot. So, we have Cheep Cheep the Quillfish, Petey the Scyther, Bowser the Teddiursa, and King Boo the Quilava. We also get a new addition, a Petalil for myself. And once again, for some damn reason, I forget to add it to my team again. Cool. We then make our way to the mountains on the West Province to take on one of the most annoying bosses in the game, the Open Sky Titan. Now, you might be wondering, why is the flappy-skinned bird so annoying? Well, it's because of its ability Rocky Payload, giving it a stab boost to rock-type moves. So, if you don't have coverage, you're probably gonna get hit by a powerful wing attack or rock throw from this bird. I attempted to lead with a Terra Dark Cheep Cheep, only to remember that Bombardier is actually a dark type. I then attempted to switch into Bowser, who unfortunately takes way more from an incoming wing attack than I expect. Pushed between a rock and a bird place, we had to sack Bowser for a safe switch-in into King Boo, who unfortunately is still weak to a rock throw that comes out. Petey is able to come out and barely take one super effective pluck, but is able to take out the Titan with a wing attack of his own. While we did defeat the first phase, an important note here is that this is the only Titan fight where you can't heal between phases. We were going in with Cheep Cheep and Petey at low health. The only way I could possibly survive is if the AI for some reason would focus on Arven's Knackley instead. We go in with a nearly dead Cheep Cheep and a prayer. And he goes for Cheep Cheep. Lost. To put salt into the wound, literally, Arven actually ends up beating the f***ing bird by himself with his Knackley. What the fuck? And there you have it, folks. You cannot Nuzlocke Pokemon Scarlet with only Hisuian Pokemon. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll get them next time. Okay, so I was disheartened losing 2 runs in the same stream. However, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to beat this game the only way I knew how, which was with a complicated set of rules. I decided that instead of giving up, that my next stream, I would try the challenge one last time. This is my Hisuian Nuzlocke of Pokemon Scarlet. Attempt 3. This stream was actually on the YouTube channel, so if you want to see more live challenges, Pokemon or otherwise, let me know. I reset the entire run, went back to the very beginning, and this time, I rolled for a starter as opposed to choosing one.
Alrighty, chat, our first Pokemon. Teddiursa.
Besides the Teddiursa, we roll an Oshawott, a Basculin, and a Rufflet. It sucked to get 2 water types before the grass gym, as well as a Rufflet who is famously known for evolving super late. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's geriatric in Pokemon levels. But this still was a solid start for a team. The Nemona battle this time around was actually hell, with our Teddiursa getting paralyzed. However, we were able to level up our Basculin high enough that she could take 1 Terra Thundershock amazingly. We outspeed and kill with a water gun. While we click through the cutscene hell of the school, I came up with a new theme of the nicknames. This time, it was eggs. So, to take on Katie, we had Century, the Teddiursa, Eggshell, the Oshawott, Caviar, the Basculin, and Poached, the Rufflet. We take on Katie for the 3rd time, and we're easily able to sweep her team this time with Poached setting up a Home Claws to increase his attack before one-shotting her entire team with wing attacks. We nearly get Hisuian Voltorb again, a good answer to the Open Sky Titan, but instead we get Frittata, the Rowlet. For the Stony Cliff Titan, we lead off with Basculin, who terras and then Aqua Jets to do big damage, but unfortunately procs Anger Shell. However, because Aqua Jet has increased priority, we're still able to beat the speed-boosted Cloth. The second phase was also much easier this time around with Arven's help, and we rolled for our next Pokemon. Fuck. Yeah, the Poison-type Quillfish would have been nice, but we ended up getting Scrambled the Petalil.
Ooh, Egg Salad is a good one. We should definitely name...
Scrambled the Petalil. Eggshell and Frittata both evolved shortly after, and we were ready to take on the Grass-type gym again. We do the same Home Claw Rufflet tactic to take on his Petalil and Smoliv. Despite the late evolution, Rufflet was carrying. In fact, its attack stat was high enough that with a Terra-boosted wing attack, we should be able to take out Bracius's ace 100% of the time.
I forgot about Sturdy!
For those of you who don't know, Sturdy makes it so that a Pokemon, if it's at full health, will always survive on 1 HP if hit with a powerful move. So, Poach stays out as he takes 1 more rock throw. RIP Poached, our first loss of run 3. We send out Scramble just to clean up, and we end up beating Bracius to receive the Grass Badge again. That would mean it was time to face our nemesis, the stork straight out of hell, the Open Sky Titan. We roll for our next Pokemon, getting Florentine the Hisuian Sneasel. While it's one of my favorite new designs, along with this evolution Sneaseler, it sucked to get this right before the Flying Titan because of its poison fighting typing. Half of our team was weak to Flying type moves, so I was nervous going into this fight. I decided to do a bit more prep though, and found an Ice Fang TM on a random roof in Mezagoza. Shout out to Literal. With Caviar leading the squad, we were now ready to take on the Open Sky Titan again. To my surprise, we somehow outsped Bombardier. On top of that though, I had the most wild luck possible.
Oh, I still outspeed it though. Nice. Oh, that's huge!
That's right, a 10% chance freeze on one of the Titans that I had no answer to. We easily defeat the first phase in 2 more turns with no thawing. After Bombardier gets some of that good green herb, we go for another Ice Fang in the beginning of phase 2.
We're still doing some decent damage. Dude, what the f***?
Another 10% freeze? If you consider that Ice Fang has a 95% chance to hit, a 10% chance to freeze, and a 20% each turn for it to unthaw, there was less than a 0.4% chance of this fight going this way. And to that I say, skill issue. With the new flying badge, we get a new member of the team, Soft-Boiled the Goomy. A little further up north is the first of the Starfall Street challenges, the Dark-type users of the Seguin squad and their leader, Giacomo. We lead with Florentine against his Poniard, easily KOing it with a single low kick. He then sends out his souped-up Dark-type Revavroom. Knowing that this boss Pokemon has Metal Sound to reduce special defense, I tried to big brain it by using Taunt.
Oh, it's a dark type. Dark types are resistant to that.
I completely forgot that they added a mechanic where dark types are not affected by Taunt. Great. We end up switching in Eggshell as well as Frittata to do a little bit of damage before switching back out until we bring in Florentine for the kill with 2 Terra low kicks. Defeated, Giacomo trauma dumps on us, we get the Dark Badge, and then we roll for a new member of our squad.
Have a look.
Okay, I'm not sure if this is a hot take or not, but I do not like this Pokemon. Amongst all of the banger designs, we get a frozen coffee table. It would take a lot for me to love this Pokemon, and I mean a lot. Nevertheless, we add Custard to the team. I realized that we can actually get a Sunstone to evolve Scarbold from the Sunflora challenge in Artizone. Once we found 20 different Sunflora in Artizone, I transferred Scarbold over to Legends Arceus to evolve her into Hisuian Lilligant. Hisuian Lilligant is a grass fighting type that gets access to some amazing moves, like the signature move, Victory Dance, that increases attack, defense, and speed of the Pokemon, as well as Axe Kick, a powerful fighting type move that's only downside is, if it misses, the user takes a bunch of damage. With Hustle as well, that would mean that this move was likely to miss. Hopefully that won't be an issue, right? Wait, why is that there? And with that, we were done with our first full day of the Nuzlocke without losing a single Mon, one step closer to truly beating this game. Day 3, we started making our way to Lavencia, the home of the streamer and electric type leader, Iono. Imagine being a streamer, how embarrassing. However, before we could take her on, we had a rival battle with Nemona waiting for us. We low-kicked her Rockruff and then brought in Scarbold to hopefully set up with Victory Dance. She does get paralyzed due to a Nuzzle, but she's still able to take on Nemona's Palmy and Florgato with a single Axe Kick each. After a quick game of Where's Waldo, we then took on the third gym, Iono and her team of electric Pokemon. Because I knew she started off with Wattrel, an electric flying type immune to ground moves, I decided to bring out Custard. Because he was so slow and bulky, I knew he would be able to eat a Spark from Wattrel and counter it with an Avalanche for some extra damage. However, I wasn't expecting a one-hit kill. That's actually pretty impressive for— No, wait, it's still a shitty Pokemon. When Iono sent out her Belly Bolt, it could barely take a water gun. A water gun. So we switched in Soft Boil to resist an electric type move. However, Soft Boil just can't get enough damage off, so we bring in Scarbold who sets up a Leech Seed and Victory Dances to wall the Belly Bolt until it dies from chip damage. Iono's Luxio comes out, and Leaf Blade still kills in one shot even after an Intimidate, leaving us to face Iono's Ace, which is probably one of the scariest early game opponents. The reason why is because once she Terras into an electric type, her Miss Magius actually has no weakness due to having the ability Levitate. However, while it can dodge a Bulldoze, it can't dodge a punch to the face anymore, with a single Leaf Blade defeating both the Miss Magius and Iono, earning us the Electric Badge. I was feeling super confident at this point. We had only one loss so far because of forgetting about Sturdy, and I'd never make that mistake again. So we end up adding Panicotta the Stantler to our team, who would hopefully turn into a normal Psychic Weirdeer one day, and make our way to the nearest Team Star base of the Fire-type user and winner of the Best Boots in the entire franchise award, Mela. Going into this battle, I had one simple plan: use Caviar and get big damage off with Aqua Jet and Surf. However, I completely forget that she leads with the Torkoal that knows Drought, setting up Sunny Day and increasing the damage of Fire-type moves while also decreasing the damage of Water-type ones. Our Aqua Jets are doing little, and while Caviar is able to take a Flame Wheel, she does end up getting a burn, having her attack. I decide to try and wait out the sun, so I switch in Soft Boil to take a few resisted hits, and then Eggshell afterwards to do the same. We Terra Eggshell to take out Torkoal once the sun went down, leaving Mela only with the Fire-type Starmobile. She goes for an Overheat, which was spooky. After all, even resisted, that was a base 120 damage move. Oh, never mind. We put out 2 Terra boosted Razor Shells, but Eggshell's health begins to get a bit too low, so I call in Sentry instead to take the hit.
Yeah, why'd you make it anonymous? Show yourself. Fuck!
Are you fucking kidding me? Caviar comes back out, gets its defense dropped with a Screech, and I thought, even with the burn, I might be able to get a kill with an Aqua Jet. It does not. It looked like our luck was all run out. There was nothing to do as Revavroom goes for Blazing Torque on our defense-dropped Caviar. Oh. Never mind. We finish Revavroom off with one last Aqua Jet and defeat Mela. Mela trauma dumps on us, we receive the Fire Badge, and our next Pokemon is a personal favorite of mine, Hisuian Growlithe. On top of now being a fire rock type, they also are just the cutest new design in my opinion. So welcome, Souffle the Growlithe. While grinding for the next battle, I actually found a Firestone in East Province 3, so our Hisuian Growlithe became an Arcanine. In that same area, we end up fighting the cutest of the Titans, the lurking Steel Titan, Orthworm. I mean, how could you possibly hate this little guy? For some reason, I decided to lead with Custard. I think it was because I thought I could bulldoze into it, but then I realized that I couldn't because of its ability Earth Eater, where Orthworm not only is immune to ground type moves, but heals off them. I switch into Scarmbold, who takes a decent chunk of damage even after a victory dance, so I switch into Eggshell. However, this ends up being a mistake because Orthworm then hits him with a Wrap. While Wrap doesn't do too much damage, it does have the added effect of stopping a Pokemon from being switched out. I attempt to Razor Shell, fishing for a defense drop, but with no luck, and even a resisted Iron Tail does a lot of damage. Eggshell does end up getting a defense drop, but at this point, it was too late. With one last Iron Tail, Eggshell unfortunately cracks. I lied. I can hate this little guy. We can finally switch in Caviar instead and finish up the first phase with a single Surf. I was sad that we had to take out Eggshell from the team. It was the first big loss in my mind, and it was all because of that damn little ice block again. After we dropped Eggshell off in the compost, we still had to deal with the second phase of Orthworm. After he eats the strange white plant and fills the screen with something that looks like it could get this video demonetized, I send out the Pokemon that I meant to send out the first time around. After one victory dance and a screech from Arven's Toad School, we actually end up one-shotting the Orthworm, and with that, we finished up the third day of the Nuzlocke. It was after all this loss that I started to realize how difficult that this run was going to be. Sure, we had some super lucky moments, but that luck couldn't stay forever, and when the luck runs out, who knows who would be the next victim. Day 4 actually started off with me trying out Iron Lung, an indie horror game, and it wasn't even that scary. Afterwards, we jumped into the Nuzlocke for a short day. We made our way to Cascarafa to face the Vizula enthusiast and cursed Mr. Clean himself, the water-type gym leader, Kofu. He teaches us the joys of child-friendly gambling before allowing us to face him. On the way back to his gym, Sentry actually evolves from a Teddiursa into an Ursaring. With our new Big Bear, we were ready to take on Kofu. Frittata takes some damage from Veluza's Pluck, but was able to take him out with 2 Razor Leaves. Kofu sends out a Wugtrio, which is actually a pretty fast Pokemon. So we call back Frittata and send out the newly evolved Sentry. He unfortunately does flinch from a headbutt, meaning that he took some more damage before being able to OHKO the Wugtrio with a single slash. Kofu then sends out his ace, a Water Terra Crabominable. Sentry is looking a little low on health, so we switch in Scarmbold, assuming a water type move was going to come out to take out Sentry. However, it goes for Rock Smash for some reason. Maybe it saw a super effective move on the Ursaring, not sure why, but it did leave Scarmbold at 59 health afterwards. I decided to do some calcs real quickly because I did not want to lose our Dancing Little Flower, and according to my battle calcs, it would take a 2-hit KO even with a Terra. While Scarmbold was already damaged, I thought she would be able to take 2 more hits. However, what I thought did not matter to Fate. I went for a Leaf Blade, but forgot to hit the Terra button before doing so. While this was scary, my panic got even worse when I realized that I missed. I had given Scarmbold a Muscle Band to do more damage in this fight, so she no longer had the wide lens, and that left her completely open after a Hustle dropped her Leaf Blade accuracy. She takes a big slam, leaving her with only 23 health. Nevertheless, Scarmbold still persisted. I decided to do an extremely risky play. Instead of a Grass Terra boosted Leaf Blade, I decided to go for Victory Dance instead. Why? Well, not only would it increase our attack, but the defense increase as well would hopefully let us live 1 more hit. I crossed my fingers as her stats raised, and Crabominable comes in for the hit. 1 HP. And with that, a Terra boosted +1 Leaf Blade was able to take out the Crabominable. As I ended the day with the Water Badge, I had only one thought in my mind: victory. We started off day 5 on an extremely high note, rolling for a new member of our squad, a Hisuian Zorua. Instead of the dark typing of the Unovan version, the Hisuian Zorua line is Normal Ghost, a very unique and powerful combo due to it being immune to 3 different types. So we add Meringue the Zorua to the team. The next level cap also made it possible for Panicotta to learn Psy-Shield Bash in Legends Arceus, so we transferred her over and agile-styled 20 random low-level Pokemon so that she could become Weirdeer. We start grinding for our Pokemon to get to level 33, and during a random Tauros encounter, I thought it would be safe to bring in Meringue for some extra XP. It was not. The worst part also was that this was literally a level away from it becoming a Zoroark as well, so that's really, really cool. Anyway, the Poison Team Starbase and their leader Atticus was next. Right before the fight though, I was introduced to the world of Hatsune Miku. So you might hear some Miku music during this fight. We take on Atticus and he leads with the Skunk Tank. While Sentry does get hit with a Toxic, he actually has Guts, an ability that increases your attack by 50% if you have a status condition like Poison. So a single Earthquake takes out the Skunky easily, as well as his Muk. Unfortunately, Sentry does get hit by an Iron Head from Revavroom. No, not the big one. The little one on top. With both the Iron Head and toxic damage now racking up, we had to switch into Caviar, who luckily takes out the mini cart with 2 rain boosted Surfs. All that's left is the poison type Starmobile. We switch in Panicotta, who easily eats a Noxious Torque and returns with a Psy-Shield Bash for a decent chunk of health, as well as a defense increase. Thinking we were safe with our defense boost, I go for one more bash, taking the toxic Gossip Train to below 50. However, we get hit with an extremely unlucky crit that is able to take Panicotta out. Another careless loss, this time because I didn't play around the crit. We bring in Florentine, clearing up the poisonous spikes that were left from the Starmobile's ability, and go for quick attacks to chip at its health. However, it gets another crit 2 turns later. We switch out into Souffle, knowing that he would probably go for a Flame Charge, and get a boost for Flash Fire. We tear it into a Rock type, eat a Spin Out despite being weak to it, and finish off the Starmobile with a Rock Slide as Miku's cover of Take On Me plays us out.
Let's go! We beat it!
Thank you, Hatsune Miku. Anyway, Atticus trauma dumps on us, we say our goodbyes to Panicotta, and in his place, we get a Cyndaquil before taking on the Mendali Gym and its gym leader, Larry. I was always confused about why Twitch loves Larry, the most bland man in the entire game, but then I remembered that Ninja started off on this platform. We transfer Frittata over to evolve into his final Hisuian Decidueye form. We also end up naming our Cyndaquil Ranchero, like Huevos Rancheros. Wait,
Did I misspell it? I put Rancho.
I mean Rancho. And with that typo, we finished up day 5. So far, 4 losses, double what it was the previous day. I could have played around the crits or the unlucky wild encounters, but unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to change the past. On day 6, I tried to forget about the losses of the previous day with an attempt at the password game. After an hour of attempts, I end up not being able to do it, so I guess Paul technically died in this Nuzlocke too. In-game, we evolve Quilava over in Legends Arceus as well, giving us a Hisuian Typhlosion. We guess the dish needed for us to turn the dining hall full of people into a battleground. By the way, if you've seen any of these people, please reach out to Mendali authorities. The normal type leader Larry graces us with his uninterested presence. He sends out Kamala. Frittata comes out and immediately gets hit with a yawn. I, being big-brained, gave Frittata a Chesto Berry though before this fight, so he was able to freely set up a bulk up to increase his attack and defense. The Kamala Slam misses the following turn, and Frittata takes him out with a single triple arrow. A single triple? That doesn't sound right. We outspeed the Dunsparce and take it out with a triple arrows again, and Larry is already at his ace, a Terra normal Staraptor. We decided to switch in Souffle, a rock type, who Terra rocks to resist his strangely small moveset and easily wipes out the normal Big Bird with 2 rock slides. And just like that, Larry and I are enjoying a plate of jelly donuts and a normal badge to boot. While Larry was a cakewalk, it was actually the fight after that I was a bit more nervous about. After your 5th gym battle, you actually battle Nemona again, this time with a fully evolved starter Pokemon on her team. Since there's no break between the gym battle and the rival battle, you start off with the same Pokemon. In this case, Frittata, a grass fighting type against her rock type, Lycanroc. We set up 3 bulk ups while all the wolf can do is quick attack before being taken out by triple arrows. Her Gumi and Palma are also taken out with a single move, and all that is left is her Meowscarada. Meowscarada's signature move, Flower Trick, always crits, meaning that defense boosts from bulk up are bypassed. We stay in, but we end up taking a critical hit from Slash instead. While surprising, Frittata still takes this easily before wiping out Meowscarada with triple arrows once more. Our next Pokemon is another Hisuian Quillfish, who we end up naming Deviled, or Devealed if you're nasty. We send out Devealed over to Legends Arceus to beat up some low-level Pokemon with his strong-style Bar Barrage and get him to evolve into Overquill. I then wrap upstream by climbing the Dalazapa Passage into the Glacedo Mountains, getting ready for the next gym. We went in hype for day 7 by starting off with the challenge of the Monte Navarro Gym, home of Ryme, the ghost-type gym leader. We beat up a child, a cowgirl, and Moist Critical to hype up the crowd, which strangely enough is also how the streamies went. We then watch Ryme literally make a service worker cry before taking her on ourselves for the final and biggest double battle of the game. On her side, a Mimikyu and Banette, and for us, Soufflé and Caviar. The Banette shoots off a sucker punch into Soufflé, whose high defense takes only a little bit of damage. Caviar then uses Crunch on the Banette, followed by a Rock Slide from Soufflé, taking it out and breaking Mimikyu's disguise. We luckily get a flinch off on Mimikyu, and Houndstone comes in. We switch Caviar out for Devealed, while Soufflé gets a crit crunch on Mimikyu, taking it out. Houndstone, however, goes for Phantom Force, which is a strong 2-turn move. Ryme then throws out her ace, a Ghost Terra Toxtricity. After trying to suss out the AI, I guessed that Houndstone is aiming for Soufflé. We switch in Sentry, who would be immune to Ghost-type moves, while we Terra Darked Deviled to do some extra powerful bites onto Toxtricity, who's knocked out before even getting a single move out. We also correctly guessed the Houndstone's target, so Sentry doesn't take any damage, and we're able to take out the later years Lassie with one last bite from Deviled. Another easy and deathless fight. With only 2 more Pokemon for us to add, I decided to do a coin flip instead of the We flip the coin and get Benedict the Scyther. I decided now would be an okay time to evolve both Scyther and Ursaring for their Arceus exclusive items. I transferred the 2 of them along with Soft Boiled and the traitor Custard. I started off by evolving Custard into our Hisuian folding table. I then spent 6 real-life minutes waiting for a full moon in-game so that Sentry could evolve with the Peep Block. Annoying as hell, but definitely worth it. After that, we apply a Black Augrite to Benedict so that we can get a Cleavor, and finally, Soft Boiled, after countless battles as a little booger, can finally evolve into a Hisuian Sliggoo, which is a Dragon Steel type now that lives in a cute little shell. Back over in Scarlet, we had more grinding to do. While fighting a random trainer on the mountain, I mindlessly go for an axe kick with Skarmory.
I'm just not a big fan of Detroit-style pizza. Did you miss? Oh, no.
That's right, I told you before, but when you miss with an axe kick, the user takes 50% of their health instead. After Skarmory missed and landed in a wood chipper or something, one Hyper Drill was enough to take out our Lilligant. And another victim to the hustle mindset. Losing Skarmory was a huge loss, but we still had Pokemon to take on the next Titan, and now had access to Nature Mints in the Chansey supply store, letting us optimize our team stats a little bit better. We come back to the Asado Desert and see Scarlet's Quaking Earth Titan, the Paradox Pokemon, Great Tusk. We try to lead with Frittata, who takes a resisted knockoff while setting up bulk ups and one-shotting the first phase with a critical Leaf Blade. We run up on the Ancient Elephant to start phase 2. I repeat the bulk up Leaf Blade combo while Arvin Skullvillain fires off some Razor Leaves. With just a few hits, Great Tusk is defeated, we find the Sour Herba Mystica and receive a ground badge. Day 7 successfully done, now time for day 8. While grinding, I actually ended up finding a random shiny Capsicid, which is wild because I was told before it's really hard to get because of how small it is. However, my first Spiritomb encounter in Violet was actually a shiny, so I guess I may just have some innate shiny luck. Anyway, the only Pokemon left to add to our team is Hisuian Voltorb, so welcome in Scotch the Voltorb. We also had a Leaf Stone already, so we could instantly evolve our little nut into a big nut. Wait, that sounded weird. Anyway, we are now entering Alfornado Gym, led by the Psychic-type leader, Tulip. However, before we can take her on, we had one more battle with Nemona to take care of. Frittata does the classic bulk-up triple arrow strat, taking out Lycanroc, and then U-turns out to take out Sliggoo, while also bringing in Custard? The next Pokemon is literally a fighting type. Why did I... This damn Pokemon keeps getting in my way, trying to stop me from being able to finish this game. With an abysmal speed stat like that, no wonder it's trying to slow me down. At least it gives us a free switch in for Rancho, since I expected a fighting type move. And while we do get paralyzed, we are able to hit it once with an Infernal Parade. However, Rancho gets fully parried twice, meaning that he takes 2 big sparks as well. We have to switch in Sentry, who is now immune to electric type moves. However, where I was once landing 10% freezes, I now was taking 5-hit arm thrusts, 1 hit of which was a crit. And while Sentry was able to take the hit, it definitely got a bit too close to comfort as she sends out her Meowscarada. We bring in Frittata to resist a Flower Trick and hit him with a U-turn to bring back Deveiled, before finishing the bipedal cat with a Barbarage. With Nemona defeated once again, we can now show the Alfrenata Gym Challenge. Imagine if I'd show any footage of that. However, here's some footage of Florentine evolving into Sneasler since we were able to give her a Razor Claw. I show chat some TikToks instead of the boring Simon Says Cocomelon gameplay. And then we are finally able to take on Tulip. The Psychic-type beauty expert sends out Farafarig against Deveiled. We're able to take him out with 2 Barbarages, the following Gardevoir with 1, and a Spathra with 1 Bite and 1 Felstinger, letting us set up for her ace, a Psychic-type Florges. Because of the huge attack boost from Felstinger, a single Bite is able to take out the Florges, letting us wrap up the day with a Psychic badge and no losses once again. Day 9, I start off stream by showing off my friend's cat and a new bucket hat that I got from IKEA. I am the pinnacle of sex appeal. We then jump into the final gym on Glacado Mountain, home of the Ice-type gym leader, Grusha. But first, we go down an extremely riveting skiing challenge. Eat your heart out, SSX Tricky. Right before we take on the gym, I read a chat message that says that with my new haircut, I look like the gym aides who give the challenges. Huh. Anyway, on to Grusha, our final challenge before the Elite Four. Grisha, who is definitely baby girl, sends out a Frostmoth to start off the battle against Benedict. The plan was to set up a few Swords Dances to hopefully sweep. However, my hubris gets the best of me once more, as a Blizzard from Frostmoth does way more than I thought. Concerned, we switch into Souffle, who takes a Bug Buzz easily. We go for a Rock Slide, which misses. Cool. I love how no rock move has 100% accuracy. Love that! A second Rock Slide does land this time around, OHKOing Frostmoth. Grusha brings out Beartic, who does have a ground and water type move to hit Souffle with big damage, but I choose to bring in a air ballooned Rancho, expecting him to go for an Earthquake. Our hunch is correct, and while we do take a bit of damage from an Aqua Jet, a super effective Eruption kills easily. So Titan switches in, who's rocking Liquidation, a powerful water type move, so we switch in Soft Boiled, who tanks it well. So Titan unfortunately does have more damage than expected with his Ice Spinners, so I have to switch out into the villain known as Custard. Much like his levels amid, Custard's defense is sky high, so an Ice Spinner does nothing. Now, riddle me this, gamers. Why did Dan not teach Custard a rock type move before this fight? Is it because he's a dipshit who forgot? Maybe. But the more likely answer is that he was so distracted by the Uggo-ass design that he didn't realize that he had to reteach Rock Slide to the frozen paperweight after he transferred it back to Scarlet. So, we're left with only Bulldoze, which does a nut hair of damage more than nothing. This tanky dork-ass still takes liquidations, letting us Bulldoze 4 fucking times. Anyway, forget about Custard, we have to take on Grusha's ace, a Terra Ice Altaria. Now, while Custard's defense is amazing, his special defense flops harder than his appeal, so we have to switch in Souffle, who's rocking an Assault Vest to take on those special attacks even better. While we do have a Fire-type move on Souffle for super effective damage on the Ice-type, it was Flare Blitz. Flare Blitz is a powerful Fire-type move that gives the user recoil damage equal to 30% of what they dish out. Because Souffle was already damaged down to 70 HP, I was terrified that he would accidentally take himself out. While we are potentially able to one-shot the Altaria, it does have a chance to outspeed, meaning we could take some damage before our big hit. And while our other option was a Terra-boosted Rock Slide, we saw how devastating a miss can be. After some consideration, I anxiously hit Flare Blitz. We get the one-hit kill, and our health lands at 13. We were safe and one Ice Badge richer after we defeated the final gym of Paldea. However, while we were able to defeat the gym leaders, we still had some challenges coming our way. Farther up north, we had Ortega's Team Starbase and his fairy types. We finally can grind on all of the Chanseys in the same area to help us get a bunch of XP for our team. And when I say a bunch of XP, I mean a bit too much.
It had, No! I just evolved it. Oh, I'm gonna f***ing puke.
Silgu went above the 50 level cap, so I unfortunately could not include our only steel type for this fight. While it did suck, we still had some great Pokemon, including Caviar, who was able to evolve into Basculegion after several wave crashes took off 294 HP. With our new ghostly fish, we had a fairy boy who had to be obliterated in battle. Ortega sends out a Azumarill. We start off with a charge beam to get some damage off while also increasing our special attack, and then finish it off with an energy ball. We repeat this process with Wigglytuff and then Stun Spore Darkspun to paralyze him, allowing us to switch in Florentine. We get a huge double para, letting us set up a Home Claws. Then we get a triple para, a 1.5% chance of happening, letting us Dire Claw the Darkspun into Oblivion. Ortega's Fairy type Revavroom is the final obstacle, and we get 2 huge Dire Claws out before Florentine gets confused. We switch in Souffle, who eats a resisted magical torque and recreates the beginning of Cars 3 with an extreme speed, taking out the Revavroom. Ortega trauma dumps, we get the Fairy badge, and we finish off the day on our way to the final Titan, where...
Or something.
Huh?
Perfect game. Another day without any losses, and on top of that, we found a rainy section for us to finally evolve Soft-Boiled into his final form, Hisuian Gudra. However, while I was confident, this was just the calm before the storm that was... Day 10. The final Titan awaited us. After watching the little orange guy get vored, we quickly take out Dondozo with a charge beam and discharge from Scotch. Phase 1 done. The Don takes out a wall, allowing his little orange buddy to bring him the drugs. This time, we lead with Frittata with his patented bulk up leaf blade combo once more to take the Dondozo out. Phase 2 done. Now, unlike the other Titans, this one actually has a third phase, where we take out the true false dragon Titan, Tatsugiri. We switch out of Frittata with a U-turn and instead bring in Soft-Boiled. We easily take any moves from the Titan, while also taking it out with our own Dragon Pulses. We receive the Spicy Herba Mystica, a Dragon Badge, and the emotional reunion that is a boy and his dog. We now only had one last challenge, Eri and her Team Starbase. We came up with a strategy, and we were ready to take on one of the hardest teams in the run. Florentine leads off the fight, triple swords dancing up while only getting hit by Toxicroak's poison jabs. After the third swords dance, she took enough damage that she was able to proc her citrus berry, allowing her to heal up as well as get some huge hits off with acrobatics. We were able to take out her Toxicroak, Lucario, Annihilate, and Passimian all in one hit. And while Aries Starmobile has given me headaches in the past, I was extremely shocked to see that a single acrobatics was all it took to take out our buff girl. After Airy trauma dumps, we received the final badge of the entire run, the Fighting Badge. We only had the Elite Four to consider this run complete. However, getting this close to the end of the game, I started to feel the power get to my head.
I do nothing for fun in this stream. This is all for work, okay? I'm trying to optimize this game.
And optimize we did. More hyper training, more grinding, until finally we were ready for the final challenge, the Elite Four. Let's begin. Our first opponent of the powerful trainers was Rika, the ground-type specialist. A single quad-effective Leaf Blade from Frittata takes out Wishcash, and a big Earthquake from Sentry takes out her Camerupt right after. Sentry, however, does fall asleep because he takes a yawn on the switch-in. She then sends out Donphan, who we switch Frittata back in for. So I activate our Grass Terra on Frittata and slash through the Don... I forgot fucking Sturdy again. Frittata takes a powerful poison jab, poisoning him in the process as well. Frittata takes it out with a U-turn, and I bring in Caviar to take on her Doug Trio. I realized that if this Doug Trio went for Sucker Punch for whatever reason, Caviar would go down in a single hit. We instead switch in the Sleeping Sentry. Sentry does take several Earthquakes with minimal damage, letting us wait out the sleep and take out Doug Trio with an Earthquake of our own. All that's left was Rika's ace, the Terra Ground Clodsire. On top of having its ground type moves boosted, it also had Water Absorb, an ability that makes him immune to the normally super effective type Water. I switch in Caviar, completely forgetting about this. However, where one door closes, another extremely cheesy one opens. Caviar knows Phantom Force, a 2-turn ghost type move, where the user disappears the first turn and then attacks the second. However, the attack has an added benefit of being able to hit through Protect, a move Clodsire loves to use in this battle. What ends up happening is essentially a stun lock, where Caviar goes first with Phantom Force to disappear, and Clodsire would go for a move that misses. The following turn, the Clodsire would Protect, making it go first, but our attack would just break through the Protect and hit him for some decent damage. We end up taking out Clodsire with this exploit, letting us get through Rika deathless. Next up is a literal child, Poppy the Steel-type trainer. At this point in the stream, I was going to end because it'd been 6 hours at that point. However, friend of the stream, Scootish, decided to call me a coward for not finishing the Elite Four. And no one calls me a coward.
You know what, chat? F you. We're doing this.
I decided to boot Scarlet back up again and put an end to Poppy's playtime. Poppy's Caporaja goes out with a single Earthquake. Corviknight gets melted by an eruption from Rancho. Bronzong becomes Bronze Gone with another eruption, and Magnezone gets taken down to sturdy 1 HP. This allows it to set up Light Screen, but we respond with several Calm Minds to boost Rancho's special attack, and take out Magnezone with an Infernal Parade. Last up was Poppy's ace, the Steel Terra Tinkaton. I crunched the numbers once more, and we had a very high chance of defeating the Amy Rose cosplayer with a single Terra boosted Eruption. We go for broke, click on Eruption, and Rancho outspeeds. However, Tinkaton is left with a shaving of health and goes for Stone Edge. I somehow got outplayed. I watched as the attack landed and Rancho's health started to drop. But then see that he continued to live on. After recovering from the heart attack, our Weasel pops off and defeats Tinkaton. And next up on the bat is our favorite indifferent man, Larry. Benedict comes out against this Tropius, one-shotting him with a sheer force boosted Stone Axe. We then Flying Terra against the Staraptor, expecting a close combat to wreck us. However, I get surprised by a Brave Bird, which does a huge chunk of damage. We still outspeed with our Goliath Granite Bug, so all we had to do was click an attacking move. That is, unless my hubris would once again catch up to me.
Wait, oh shit, I misclicked! No! Oh no!
Because Benedict had a citrus berry previously, I started clicking the A button expecting a text box about him consuming his berry. However, I forgot that before the match, I gave him a hard stone instead to increase his rock type moves. Because of my rapid button clicking, I clicked through the selection screen and chose Sword Stance once again, taking him down to 0. Nearly every loss in this run had been avoidable, but this one felt the worst. And without Benedict, the cracks began to spread. Caviar comes out, who does not outspeed the Bird of Prey, and has to take a Brave Bird once again. She's able to take out the Menace with an Ice Fang. We then switch in Sentry against her Altaria, while he eats up the Dragon Pulse on switch in. An Ice Beam comes out, doing a decent amount of damage, but more tragically...
Oh, that's a little scary. No! Oh my fucking god, are you kidding me?
Bombardier, eat your fucking heart out. We bring in Rancho to eat the incoming Ice Beam and set up Calm Minds to boost his special attack. We then go for Infernal Parade, which does not kill. We were able to defeat the Altaria, but not without taking one more hit. After one-shotting Oricorio, we still had the strongest and most annoying of Larry's Pokemon. His ace, the Flying Terra Flamigo. Because we had a Ghost type out, I thought we were about to take a Brave Bird. I decided to bring in Soft Boiled. However, to my surprise, Flamigo goes for close combat, and the super effective hit leaves Soft Boiled on just 4. I found out that apparently this Flamigo has Scrappy, an ability that allows him to hit Ghost types with fighting type moves. Once again, a lack of ability awareness nearly makes me lose a pillar of our team. We had one Pokemon down, and nearly every other one was below 50%. We were finally into a position where I had to do the unthinkable. We had to sack a Pokemon for a safe switch. I had to decide which member was best to lose, Caviar or Frittata. After some considering, I'd finally decided that Frittata was less important than Caviar. Frittata was brought in, takes a quad-effective Brave Bird, and we bring in Caviar, which was actually not the right choice. My thought was that after the close combat defense drops, we should be able to take him out with an Aqua Jet. However, my calc showed that it would still not be strong enough to feint him even after 2 drops. We needed to switch in Typhlosion, the only Pokemon on our team that would outspeed Flamigo. So we had to say goodbye to Caviar as well, making Frittata's sacrifice worthless. While we were able to bring in Rancho to defeat Larry, the damage was already done. Despite running numbers, risky chances, and close calls, we just were out of luck this time around. We still had 2 fights left. I pulled out Deveiled and Custard, the last thing I wanted to see at this moment, and stepped forward to take on the emotional dragon-type master, Hassel. This one was for Benedict, for Frittata, for Caviar, the Ice Bite Goddess. Souffle is put up against Hassel's Noivern. Despite taking a Super Fang that slices his health in half, one Rock Slide and Extreme Speed takes out the winged beast. Dragalge comes out next, so we bring in Softboiled to eat up all the special moves thrown at him, while we Dragon Pulse in return to take Dragalge out in 2. Afterwards, Softboiled makes quick work of his Flapple. Haxorus comes out, so I decide to give him a fate worse than death, having to look at Hisuian Avalugg. Because Custard's defense was so high, even a super effective Iron Head does very little. But because Avalugg is such a trash mon, there's no way that it would kill Haxorus in one shot. Wait, did Custard just do well? Huh. Maybe this Pokemon isn't terrible. No. I will not be won over by this Pokemon. We still had the Dragon Terra Baxcalibur to take on. Baxcalibur was either going for a Dragon or Fighting type move. I decided to go for Florentine to eat up a Fighting type move, and our guess was correct. Florentine would now be able to Fighting Terra close combat for a kill against the Ice type. Oh no, Baxcalibur isn't an Ice type anymore. One of our strongest members lost because I forgot about the main game mechanic. Rancho comes out to take out Baxcalibur, but we were finishing the Elite Four broken and unconfident. As Hassel cried tears of joy, we had to enter the final fight stoic. While the losses were tragic, after seeing Gita stand before us, a small light started to emerge, a light that signaled the end of the Nuzlocke. Just one more battle, and then we could say we beat Pokemon the right way. Time to become the champion. I bring out Deveiled against her Espathra, who one-shots them with a single crunch. She sends out her own Devil Spawn, so I send out Sentry, who can take it out with 2 Hammer Arms. The Avalugg goes for Body Press, which does some decent damage, but just one more Hammer Arm should— No! You're kidding me! Oh my god, are you f***ing kidding me? Fuck. And just like that, Sentry, our starter Pokemon, goes down. The loss of the Sentry. Literally. Rancho has to come back out, who kills with a single flamethrower. King Gambit switches in, but a single Terra Boosted Eruption takes it right back out. Veluza follows, and while we are scared of a water type move, we are still able to outspeed it and hit it with a Shadow Ball, which I taught Rancho in between rounds due to Infernal Parade's middling performance. Eruption takes out Go-Go, and then Gita is on her final Pokemon, a Terra Rock Glamora. We switch in Soft-Boiled, thinking it would go for a Rock Terra boosted Terra Blast. However, it goes for Earth Power, which still does a lot of damage against our tanky Soft-Boiled. Even with one more Earth Power, Soft-Boiled lets out a Flash Cannon.
Oh, you're fast.
We kill it in 1! Let's fucking go!
God, that's to make up for Sentry's loss. Let's fucking go.
And there it was. Gita was defeated. After all the hours of grinding, after 2 resets, after all the losses, we could now say that it was done. We beat Pokemon the right way. But did I? I'd lost so many Pokemon to minute mistakes that could have been avoided. I'd forgotten abilities, misinputted, overleveled. And after all of this, I wouldn't be able to do the endgame because with the hardcore rules in place, I technically would only have like 3 Pokemon to use. So yes, I may have beaten a Hisuian Pokemon only Nuzlocke, but I hadn't beaten Pokemon the right way. But maybe there isn't a right way. As the day wrapped up, I decided that the Nuzlocke wasn't ending just yet. We had only 6 Pokemon left after losing Sentry, just enough for one full team. If we wanted to get to the actual end of the game, we had 5 of the toughest battles to go against. But that didn't scare me. So, instead of trying to beat Pokemon the right way, I decided to beat it my way. While the rules of a Nuzlocke can be pretty consistent, there's one golden rule that trumps the rest that most people have agreed on. Play the way that you have the most fun. In order to keep the challenging aspect of the game, but not necessarily make it impossible because of level caps, I decided to get rid of all of the individual level caps except for one for the final battle of the game, which we would increase to level 69. If you've stuck around this long, make sure to put nice in the comments below. It was time to take on the endgame. Day 11 started with us getting ready for the penultimate battle in the Starfall Street storyline. A battle against the cool student Director Clavel. Sorry, that disguise is just too good. Devield the Overquill crunches to one-shot his Oranguru. Souffle flare blitzes Abomasnow into oblivion. His Poltergeist is able to get some big damage off on Devield after one Shell Smash, but Softboiled takes out the teapot with a critical Dragon Pulse. Souffle comes in to absorb a Fire Blast from Houndoom before wiping it out with a Rock Slide, and we vent the imposter Amoonguss with a single Flare Blitz. This meant that we were left with Clavel's ace, the starter that was left for him to care for. Quaking. Scotch comes in, resisting a Terrid Aqua Step from the Flamboyant Bird, and to turn the tide towards our favor a little more, Scotch's ability Static leaves Danger Duck paralyzed, slowing him down. This would mean that we would be able to get a Terra boosted Energy Ball off, hopefully doing enough damage to take out Clavel's final foe. I take the chance, throwing Calcs aside.
We're about to find out.
Whoa! You live! What?
We still had 9 HP and a dream. With one last hit, Quaquavel goes down, and we are now down to 4 big battles. We go to the schoolyard to find that Penny was Cassiopeia. She sends out her Umbreon, which we effectively wall with Devield. We go for multiple Felstingers in order to take out the Dark type while also increasing our damage by 3 stages. We luckily were able to set up Toxic Spikes, leaving the rest of Penny's team vulnerable to Toxic. Flareon is taken out by a Liquidation from Devield. Vaporeon takes huge damage from a Poison Jab, but then Devield has to switch out after a powerful Hydro Pump. Soft-Boiled comes in to take the hit, while Vaporeon goes down to toxic damage. A Dragon Pulse and a single Protect allows for poison damage to take out both Jolteon and Leafeon, and then finally, Penny's ace Sylveon takes huge damage from 2 Flash Cannons. 2 battles down, 3 to go. Penny trauma dumps, and then all of Team Star comes together to trauma bond. This meant that we were done with one of the main 3 quest lines, Starfall Street. The next one could be wrapped up soon after. We revisit Arven in front of his mother's lab, and he had one last fight for us. Starting off with Greedent, we use Souffle to critically hit him with a close combat. Garganackle walls Souffle, so Softboiled is sent out instead. While the Minecraft Mountain does set up Stealth Rocks, we Terra into a Dragon type and Flash Cannon him in 2 hits to lower the Sodium count. Toadscruel goes down in 1 Ice Beam, and Skullvillain gets hit by 2 Surfs before burning out. Arven then sends out Cloyster. We bring in Souffle, who does take a decent amount of damage from the rocks set up on the field, on top of taking a max hit Icicle Spear. We double into Scotch, expecting a Liquidation, but instead get a Light Screen set up. While annoying, we're still able to kill the Cloyster in a single Thunderbolt. Arven calls out his childhood friend and tears him into a Dark type. Scotch doesn't have much to hit him with, so we Volt Switch, allowing for us to call in Softboiled instead to take a Fire Fang. While a Play Rough does a lot of damage, we return some solid damage out with a Flash Cannon before switching in Devield. Devield does get hit with a Play Rough himself, with an attack drop to boot. Although it felt like the tide was turning against us, Mabostiff ends up poisoning himself on Devield's Poison Point, allowing us to finish off the battle with a single Poison Jab to take out Arven's dog. And that finished up the Path of Legends storyline. 3 battles down, 2 to go, and we still had a full team of Pokemon to take them on. While I was no longer holding myself to the rigidity of a hardcore Nuzlocke, I was still having a lot of fun. However, as we finished up, I knew that these last 2 battles would be some of the hardest, even with an increased level cap. The final day. It's credits or bust. And the only question that I had left was, Is this possible? We had 2 hard battles, one with Nemona and one with the final boss of the game. Our team would go down to a single powerful earthquake or earth power from multiple of the Pokemon. My confidence was shaking, but that wasn't going to stop me from trying. We walked up to the central plaza of Mesagoza, spoke to our excited rival, and got ready for the penultimate important battle of the game. It was time to go all out on Nemona. Lycanroc, a single energy ball boosted by Scotch's Miracle Seed, gets Lycanroc out before being able to set up any rocks on our side. Goodra, after getting some Volt Switch damage from Scotch, our Hisuian version of Goodra is able to switch in on a Sludge Bomb that does nothing because of our Steel typing. Our Dragon Pulses are stronger against Nemona's Goodra, and Soft Boiled wins out. Pawmot, we know that Pawmot is going for a fighting type move on Soft Boiled, so we bring in Rancho for another safe switch. We go for 2 flamethrowers and defeat him after being damaged by a double shock. Orthworm could have gone for a Rock Blast or an Earthquake here. Knowing that Earthquake has a higher base damage though, I bring in Souffle, who's holding the air balloon again to avoid any ground moves. I call it correctly and take out the worm with a fiery Flare Blitz. To Dunsparce, with the air balloon still in play, we go for a super effective close combat and an extreme speed to make the Dunsparce to done for. It was now time for the final matchup against Nemona. Meowscarada, I know that Meowscarada wants to go for a flower trick against Souffle, so Deveiled comes out, resisting the huge hit. The Harlequin Cat goes for a play rough afterwards, but it isn't enough to take out Deveiled. 2 poison jabs, and boom. 4 battles, without a single loss. Victory Road was complete. We had one more thing to do. The way home. All of our companions come together and travel with us down to Area 0. Our bike gets bullied by a bigger bike, we almost get jumped by a whole bunch of cavemen, and then we find out that Arvin's mom is actually an AI robot. She leads us to the time machine, bringing all of these terrifying creatures to our time, and we are the only person who can stop the world from being thrown into chaos. We begin the shutdown process, and we're ready for the final fight. It's time for us to beat Pokemon Scarlet. The professor starts off with Slitherwing. Rancho comes in and is able to get an eruption out to one-shot him. Brute Bonnet is brought up next, only to follow the Standing Bug's fate. We were already 2 Pokemon ahead in this Battle of the Ages. Sandy Shocks is called out next. We assume an Earth power is coming out, so we bring in Soft Boiled. While she does take a super effective hit, her extremely high special defense allows her to take it very well. We protect to get some health back, avoid a critical hit afterwards, and then Ice Beam, which unfortunately does not kill. So we bring in Souffle holding his balloon once more. A single extreme speed guarantees a kill. Fluttermane is next. I expect a power gem, so Soft Boiled comes right back out to take it. He eats up every special attack that's thrown at us, but a flash cannon from Soft Boiled does not kill. With no safe switch-ins to Shadow Ball, we had to do the unthinkable. Soft Boiled, our protective wall, has to fall to bring someone else in safely.
07's in chat for Soft Boiled, chat. You did so well. Thank you for taking us all the way here. That hurts.
Thank you, Soft Boiled. Deveiled comes in to finish off the Fluttermane with a poison jab. Screamtail comes out. Thinking we could take a single play rough, I attempt to set up Toxic Spikes. However, my greed becomes my folly as Deveiled gets hit because of his Dark Terra removing the poison typing. Once again, without a safe switch, we had to say goodbye to another huge hitter of our team.
07's in chat for Deveiled.
Thank you, Deveiled. We bring out Rancho, who's able to 2-shot the Screamtail with 2 Shadow Balls. However, our Typhlosion takes 2 Zen Headbutts in the process. Sada has one last Pokemon. Her ace, the Paradox Pokemon, Roaring Moon. As Roaring Moon comes out, boosted by his booster energy, it outspeeds Rancho and kills with a single Night Slash. Thank you, Rancho. We only had 3 Pokemon left on our team, and this Roaring Moon could easily sweep through all of them. Souffle could be taken out by a Stone Edge, Scotch from a powerful Dragon Claw or Earthquake. That would mean we only had one last choice, the black sheep of the party. Custard. We bring out the Hisuian Avalugg, who of course fucks up the camera of this final fight because why wouldn't he? And the Roaring Moon goes for a Stone Edge. Custard gets put down around 50% of his health. All we had to do was return with a powerful Avalanche.
Yes! I wasn't expecting Avalugg to I can't see jack shit. What?
Of all the Pokemon to help us finish the game, it was Avalugg. Sada is defeated, our friends all come rushing in, and she shows her final form after telling her son that she is proud of him. And we take on her Koraidon with our very own. Our bike goes Super Saiyan one last time, and with a final Terra Blast, we were done. I was able to defeat Pokemon Scarlet with only Hisuian Pokemon. And while I wasn't able to keep it a hardcore Nuzlocke with level caps at the end, I did learn something else. I was able to see the rest of the story because of my flexibility of dropping the level caps. I even found love for the Pokemon that I hated. I still think that its design isn't that great, but all of this taught me a new way to view Pokemon and Pokemon challenges. And I'm proud of being able to beat the game the way I wanted. So, what is the right way to play Pokemon? There isn't one.